I'm Rob Licuria, Senior Editor at Gold Derby, here with Matilda Lawler, who stars as Kirsten in the acclaimed post-apocalyptic limited series Station 11. Matilda, I really, really enjoyed Station 11 and just really appreciated it for how it made me feel about these characters who live to fight another day against the odds during a pandemic that wipes out most of the world. Like that's some pretty cool stuff to do, and it did it in a really different way. What did you most love about this story and about portraying Kirsten?
I loved that. That's a great question. I'm glad you liked the show. I loved that it was not something that comes around very much. I loved that it was the type of project that I hadn't really heard of before, and I'm just so into like dystopian post-apocalyptic stories. I tend to gravitate towards those. So just to kind of see something so different is always really attractive to me. And as you said, I just loved the kind of relationships that were played with a lot in the story. I feel like that is one of the really major kind of elements of Station 11 is like the different relationships that we got to explore. So I really loved kind of getting into that, and I loved my character too. So that was
Yeah.
a major selling point.
Yeah, that's a huge factor. And you're playing someone that you can really kind of relate to and enjoy playing. But the thing is, like, I also love this post-apocalyptic, even pandemic subgenre, like all those shows and movies about pandemics and outbreaks and stuff. I'm really into that. And then so I thought, okay, this is going to be cool. But this did it in such a different way because it's about hope and love and family, community, and
Right.
art and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so, isn't it interesting, like that? Ultimately, Station 11's about how art and creative expression sustains us as human beings. Like that's really inspiring, isn't it?
I think you've gotten right to the root of it. Yeah. I think that's probably what really like made me like to do it without even me knowing it was that, I always love these stories of post-apocalyptic blah blah blah, but this was like so different than most shows like that. Because yeah, it is about what really matters to us when everything's gone, and that is art and love, and I love that it was such a hopeful story. You never really get that, so
No.
totally right.
And you never really know where this story is going to go. And so when we open up, when the show starts, we see young Kirsten. She's in this play, and then everything starts to fall apart, and she's with Jeevan. And then you realize that these two characters are very central to the narrative. And I found it really compelling, beautifully rendered, this paternal almost or fraternal bond that they share. I found really genuine and authentic. And that doesn't happen unless you and Himesh Patel are really kind of working together beautifully. So was it challenging or interesting? Talk me through the achieving that connection between you and him.
Well, I think that the moment we met each other, there was kind of already a connection there. Like, I think that, I mean, Patrick, he was like, the moment you guys started reading together, I could tell that you had like a connection on not just a connection between actors and like a connection on screen, but like an actual human connection. So I feel like that really helped us that it was like already there. But like I was saying, I just love the exploring the different relationships, and like just reading this in my audition, the relationship between Kirsten and Jeevan, it's you don't get it a lot. It's like, so I was really excited to like see what would happen. And and then I met Himesh and I was like, this could work. and Himesh is just such an amazing person and such an amazing actor. I can't say enough great things about working with him. And I don't know, I think those kinds of relationships, maybe people kind of try to steer clear of them sometimes because it's hard to get it right.
Yeah.
But I think we achieved that.
Yeah. Like, just imagine being told, okay, so we're going to do a story where you're playing a young girl and you're going to have this bond with this older man. Like people go, oh no, that's creepy. That's not going to work out. For some reason, that just never occurred to me. There's this real vulnerability in both of you, and Jeevan's really cranky and grumpy and like doesn't, it's like he keeps complaining, but he obviously really cares about making sure this girl is safe. And you, on the other hand, as Kirsten, are really vulnerable and you're so scared, but you're trying to be super strong. I just found that very interesting. What was going on set, or what was the direction that you were getting for Hero, particularly in the pilot, to make sure that you were both playing those roles in that particular way?
Well, I remember when we were like a few days before we started filming, we went to the studio or some office place. I'm not good with names. And we sat in this office around a table, and we just had conversations kind of about the relationship of Kirsten and Jeevan. And I remember Patrick saying, well, Kirsten and Jeevan are kind of like an old married couple, and they're kind of like the yin and yang. They definitely balance each other out. And I feel like I love how we're always switching places. Sometimes I'm the adult, sometimes he's the adult, sometimes he has to be my parent, sometimes I have to be his parent. And I feel like that just makes the relationship so special. And on set, I remember him telling me some really juicy childhood stories, which I really enjoyed. And I don't know, I think we just had a good time. He always brought a very like knowing energy to set, and I don't know, he just has this power to make everyone in the room feel like calm and just it's like it's all gonna be okay. I don't know. You kind of have to meet him, and you met him, right? Like on Zoom.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, he's got this energy. He's very compelling. He's very measured, and thoughtful. Yeah, I know what you're saying. That would have been such a dream to act with someone like that. And also, you're right. Like that old married couple scenario. When you're with your family, you can be a little cranky. You can say what you really want to say. You can be you, right? And you're still going to be loved and accepted. That's what I was getting from the two of you, and that's why I felt it was paternal or fraternal, because you can only be like that with the people that you really care about. And that's what I got from the both of you, which is a real achievement.
Well, thank you. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can definitely say that I get cranky around my family, but like, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, because you can just be you. There's no pretension. When you're in the confines of your home, or you're somewhere where you're safe, you can actually just be yourself. And that's what I was getting from Kirsten. And I think that's what then takes her into her future. We then see Kirsten as an older woman played beautifully by Mackenzie Davis. What I find really interesting for you as well is you don't get the opportunity very often when you're a younger actor to play someone and then you get to spend time with the actor playing them as the older version. So what was it like I know you and Mackenzie didn't spend a lot of time collaborating, but I know you did meet, and I think that the way you were able to both play her consistently was very effective.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. Again, I feel like it was kind of just a natural human connection, which I'm glad we had that. I think maybe we would have been messed up. It would have turned out a lot worse if we didn't have the foundation already. But yeah, you are totally right. You never really get that a lot. especially as a young actor, like being able to see an older version of someone, especially someone as like talented and amazing as Mackenzie, like that was a real blessing.
Yeah.
But I was literally just in awe of like every time we got to act together, every time we had a scene together, I just watched her and enjoyed every second of it. Same goes for Naban and Himesh and everyone else.
Oh man.
But I just, yeah, I'm really glad I got to work
We've
with
got to talk about that episode 7. That was that the first episode that was done after you resumed production? I think it
her. Correct.
was.
Yes.
That episode blew my mind. I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and just to see older Kirsten revisiting her memories of when she was holed up with Jeevan and Frank Naban, by the way, so good, in his apartment, and then they fight to stay alive, and then Kirsten persuades them to do that stage play adaptation, like so heartbreaking. And then to have Mackenzie in the room while you're playing the younger version of her, it was just insane. So is that interesting when you're playing her and you actually have to have her in the room watching?
Yeah. That was like that scene was like definitely, we had a rehearsal the day before for it, and it was definitely a heavy scene to film because there's just such a contrast. Like it's all going great. We're doing a production. I mean, it's kind of my way of saying goodbye to Frank.
Yeah.
Even some might not know that, but it's kind of my way of saying goodbye to him in a nice artistic way. And then to have such an abrupt ending is heart-wrenching. And for Mackenzie to be there too. But
Yeah.
I really liked the scene where she was there to like comfort me, her younger self.
Yeah. Beautiful.
I really liked
Just
it.
blew my mind. And like thankfully the performances were so strong, but everything about the episode, the way it was shot, the music by Dan Roma, the production design, like I think that episode's a masterpiece. I really do. And I can't
Lucy's
wait to see
amazing.
it again.
Lucy Cherniak.
Yeah. So good, man. Let's just talk about that all day. Now, also, how weird was it though to be doing this show whilst COVID-19 was raging across the world? I mean, surely that occurred to you guys every day that you had this reality that you were living in, and you were also playing this different reality on set.
I mean, it was like insane and unbelievable and strange. All the words I can use to describe, all the synonyms for strange, I guess. Like it was so, like, when does that happen? Like, no, that's just so weird. And I don't know, for me personally, it kind of brought me some type of strange peace about the whole situation that was going on in the world. I don't know how, but it kind of like made me feel less alone and like, maybe, who knows, this is probably not going to happen, but even if the world does end because of COVID-19, at least I know that maybe this art will survive. Like I felt like the show was realistic and that like art would survive. So that kind of comforted me. And I mean, it was crazy, but at the same time, I don't know how, kind of comforting.
You're not the only one to say that. A lot of your colleagues on the show and behind the scenes were saying the same thing. That, and you know what? To be honest, Matilda, like it was comforting for the audience because I at first I've said this to a few of your colleagues that I didn't really want to watch the show because I was already living a pandemic and it was very hard. We were all going through a really, really tough time. I've got children and they weren't at school and I wasn't working, so I get it. But then we get to watch the show. You finally get into it and you're like, this is so life affirming. It is so beautifully done. So I get it. It was comforting. And so I'm glad that you all got that experience, because I think you'll take that with you forever, won't you?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, when you look back, what do you think you'll most remember about Station 11 when you're progressing in your creative career? Years to come, what will be the most valuable thing or lesson that you'll take away from Station 11?
I'll take so many things from it, but I guess obviously the basis of the story, or the root of it, that love survives, and hope, it can keep someone going, and that art survives, because it's kind of what kind of makes our world so beautiful sometimes. Yeah. And also something I love from the story, it has a lot to do with Kirsten's story, is that she just always has this skill of finding new families and just finding people she loves, and that's always just what keeps her alive. So yeah. I guess that anywhere you go, you can find a new family. That's right. That's definitely like a good mantra.
Yeah, and because you always have your own family, but you'll be working on so many productions going forward. I mean, this is just the beginning for you, and you will meet and become friends with so many cool people that you've got to look forward to. So you can take that with you as well. Yeah. I have one final question. It's not Station 11 related, okay, but I'm pretty sure you were in Evil as well, playing that young girl, haunted by this entity. I am a huge Evil fan. Like, I just think that show is so awesome.
Great. Oh yeah.
So what was that like working on that show? Because Robert and Michelle King are legendary creators.
Oh, so amazing.
Aren't they the best?
They're the best.
Did you have a good time on that?
I had a great time on that. I just love playing characters, different kinds of characters. I'll just try new things. I'm young, just trying to see what I like, just have fun. And so like to play a possessed person is like very fun. And to play someone and then I really loved the episode where, because I was in 2, and the first one I was in a mask. And so I really, breathing was a challenge, but I never really thought I would act without my face before. So that was a really interesting challenge, but also I don't know, I just found it really fun to kind of play around with that. So yeah, I love Robert and Michelle. They're amazing. Everyone, all the cast and the crew, just an amazing show too. Definitely recommend.
Definitely recommend. Well, Matilda, I look forward to interviewing you again in a few years' time when you've had all these other huge successes. I foresee a really great career for you, and I'm very, very happy that we got to finally touch base today. Thanks for your time.
Me too.
This pizza blanket is everything. And don't forget, pizza is life.
True.
True.
Okay.